Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 8. We're into week 2 of the Herbally-Inspired Holiday Challenge. My name is Allison from The Well Cultivated Life, and I am been having a lot of fun putting together these shows for you. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about food as medicine, and today's plant of the day is garlic. And I know some people might not think of garlic as medicine, but it's actually one of the plants that has the longest record, of known use in medicine, in herbal medicine, particularly through the Ayurvedic tradition, which is from India and points surrounding. And so our card is from the Herbcrafter's Tarot, and she's got this beautiful drawing of a big braid of garlic. And like we've been talking about this week, showing the garlic cloves in a pot of honey. And part of the message is that, garlic is strong, but you can always bring in some honey to help tame it a little bit. And garlic is strong, and that means that it gives us a lot of strength. It is a very, very important the immune system building plant. I would eat garlic in just about anything except for maybe ice cream. It's an antibiotic. And so I thought it was real interesting. I have this book, Herbal Antibiotics, by Stephen Buhner. Stephen Buhner is one of these incredible researchers that will go out and compile tons of information, like going and looking at studies and things like that. So if you like that type of information, you're into the more clinical trials and things like that, then he is a great author. He's written a bunch of different books, one for healing Lyme. I think there's one called tons of books. I can't even name them all. So anyway, he's great. Oh wait, on the back he's got a first aid, saw palmetto, dandelion. So he's done a lot of stuff. But anyway, in this book here, he compares garlic to penicillin and lists these like 25 active ingredients of garlic, and there's like 35 more that I haven't even studied yet, whereas penicillin has penicillin. And so this is one of the really hugest differences, in my opinion, between using a pharmaceutical, which is a single component usually that's been extracted, usually from plants, versus whole plant medicine. So in this case, 25 active ingredients. The main one is called allicin, spelled differently, of course. But and then these other 35, we don't even know what kind of benefits those might be having. And so this is why using a whole plant medicine, we are getting all of these like sort of whole plant, whole ecosystem, if you will, benefits by using the medicine in its original form, in a sense. Years ago, I attended this garlic workshop. I was at a conference by a woman named Pat Reppert, who has since passed away a few years ago, but she was known as the garlic goddess, and she loved everything garlic, and she would wear like these garlic cloves on her head and everything like that. And she basically said, listen, I need to instill into you this 20-minute rule. And the 20-minute rule was that this active ingredient, primarily this allicin, or I've seen allen is another version, the way it was written, and it can get stronger when it's exposed to air. So I guess there's some sort of like oxidation process that happens with the allicin. And so she said, anytime you're going to use garlic, even if you're just using it for cooking, if you're not sick, you want to chop it up and let it sit for at least 20 minutes before you use it. And this exposure to air will help to activate a lot of the health-giving potent compounds in the garlic. And she swore by this recipe for called the cold killer brew or something like that. And she had you basically take a broth. She said chicken broth, but you might be a vegetarian, so you do vegetable broth. You cut up the garlic and some little matchsticks of garlic and little matchsticks of ginger, and you just simmer those real quick. You don't want to cook it too much. Drink that. And then she said it'll help to eliminate a cold, the length of the cold and bring it back. So now it turns out, of course, this is the perfect day to talk about garlic because like yesterday morning, I woke up with like a little bit of a sniffle thing going on. And so it reminded me of one of the most important things. Like I go straight to garlic, and I do grow my own garlic. I left my garlic in the ground too long this year and it got huge, but it also didn't keep the paper on it very well. So I always go straight to garlic, and I am kind of hardcore, so I'll just chop up the garlic. I'll let it sit for my 20 minutes, and then I'll just eat it raw. Now, I might, if I'm not feeling that good and not in the mood, I might put some honey with it if I don't have any infused honey at the time. But I will just eat it raw, and not sometimes just like swallow it like a pill almost, because I figure this way. One night of really bad breath is way better than a week and a half of being sick with a cold. So garlic is always my number one go-to. And then several years ago, or I should show you the very first herbal book that I ever bought. And I don't know if any of you have this. This is like this book is hilarious. It's written in the early 70s, and I bought it, oh gosh, it was probably around 1980 or so. And Jeanne Rose's Herbs and Things. I don't know if she's still around or what she's doing, but she's got all these. She's like total hippie herbalist. Okay, she's got recipes for douches and all kinds of stuff in here. It's hilarious. So I don't know if it's in print, but if you really like the more esoteric type of things, then you might want to check it out. But she has a recipe in here for a garlic sinus cure, and tells the story about how she used to get chronic sinus infections, and she finally couldn't stand it. She'd go to the doctor, and they'd give her an antibiotic, and that would help, of course, but then it wasn't a permanent solution. And so as soon as she started studying herbalism, she found this cure, and she started using that regularly. Or the next time she got an infection, she went ahead and used it. And not only did it stop the infection just as fast as an antibiotic, she didn't have the severity and the frequency of sinus infections after that. So it had done something. Again, it's probably these additional constituents that are going in there and doing some other healing in addition to just the antimicrobial type of properties. So I wanted to share that with you today because I can guarantee you that there's going to be a few people, see if I can get this set up right, who, at least one person who watches this that struggles from sinus infections. And I don't have regular sinus infections, but if I do get a sinus infection, I do this. So basically, again, I'm going to cut up your garlic like that. And for this, you don't want to cut it up too fine, because what you don't want to do is you're going to be putting this solution up your nose. You don't want to check a garlic, okay? Trust me, that's happened to me before. You're going to cut it up. You're going to let it sit for its 20 minutes or so. Then you're simply just going to find a container, put the garlic in the container, and then pour some water over the top. Now, the way her recipe is, she says, get like a huge chunk of garlic and then just put a teeny bit of water. And after it soaks for a while, she extracts the garlic oil. When the oil will go into the water, it'll float on top, and she would take the oil off. I just strain it, and then I just use the whole solution, so it's a little bit more dilute. But literally, I'm not going to do this here because you have to do this over a sink. You literally just take a dropper full and you snort it up both sides of your nose. Again, we're not using the straight garlic oil. We're just using kind of the garlic oil mixed in with the water as well. And that's the basic formula for it. Do it as often as you can stand. Now, if you obviously, I'm not doing a lot of medicinal stuff here on this show because that's not my thing to teach you what medicines to use. So obviously, if you have some reason why you think this is a bad idea, then don't do it. Okay. So you gotta be responsible for your own level of healing. And if that means that you feel like you're going to benefit the most from doing this, give it a try. If not, don't do it. Okay. Awesome. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you today. Oh, and I didn't have this the other day when we were talking about straining things. So I just wanted to show you. So I just use a strainer like this. I let my stuff soak. I strain it off, and then I just keep the water. And I'll use it for about maximum 48 hours. Then if it's sitting out, it's going to kind of start to get a little funky. So if you still need more garlic after that, then you go ahead and make a fresh batch. So if you really can't stand garlic, some people just can't tolerate it. The very least you can do is you can buy these garlic capsules. Kyolic, I think, is one brand. And so those, in theory, they de-stinkify them and you should be able to take them and not have them bothering you. But I tried those a couple of times and they were just too weird. So I just like going for the real thing myself. Make sure, again, anytime you're buying herbs, foods, or anything that you're hoping to use in a more medicinal type of way, to get the cleanest version possible. If you have a farmer's market and you can go buy, of course, obviously growing it yourself, but if you can go buy it from a local farmer, that's great. If you can't do that, try going to a natural food store that might have an organic version of it. I find it hard to believe that there's a lot of chemicals sprayed on garlic. It really is not a type of a plant that has a lot of disease. So it's probably okay if you can't get an organic version. Giving garlic as a gift is very nice in addition to just using it, right? And so a lot of times you'll see these fancy garlic braids that a lot of farmers will make if they're growing the soft neck garlic. But I also wanted to, as we're working on building our herbal wreath, I also wanted to suggest that you add garlic. Now, it's not that easy to add onto the wreath. I basically just wired it on the top here like this by running a flexible wire around it. But if you're going to be making an herbal wreath for someone, for them to be able to pluck off everything they need to cook with, then you want to include some garlic on top of it. Again, if you can get some braided garlic of the soft neck, great. If not, I simply just took one of my bulbs and I wired it onto the top. And I have it set up so that you can pull off one clove at a time if you want to. Let me know if you come up with some other ingenious ways to share garlic or to any good tricks for getting it onto the wreath. It also, if you had a wider one, like a bigger, fatter one, you could probably take this little stem, stick that down in there, and so on. You just want to make sure you don't pierce the bulbs at all, because then they can go bad. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night, whatever time it might happen to be that you're watching this. Take care, everybody.